Hello, trampoline enthusiasts. Welcome to Trampoline Insight. I'm Nuno Marino along with Stephen Gluckston, and this is episode 5.
Today, we are joined by someone who has been involved in the sport for over 30 years. As an athlete, he competed for Brazil and won the 1998 World Championships in double mini-trampoline. In 1999 and 2001 World Championships, he won the bronze medal in double mini-trampoline. As a coach, he has helped coach handfuls of national team members and has also coached athletes in multiple circus shows, such as Cirque du Soleil's Corteo. He has also attended multiple FIG Academy level coaching courses.
Please help us welcome Rodolfo Rangel. Hi, Rodolfo. How are you?
Hello, guys. I'm doing well. So it's a great honor to be here to make part for this project. So I'm very proud of you guys. Well done.
Thank you. We're excited.
Rodolfo, I'm really excited for this one. I think a lot of people are going to be happy for this interview. You are a star in our sport, so I think a lot of people are going to be excited for this interview. So tell us, why don't you tell us a little bit who Rodolfo is, how you started on this sport, and what have you been doing?
Okay. I'm a normal guy, you know. You say I'm star, but I'm a really normal guy. You know, since I was young, I'm involved with the sports in the overall many sports here in Brazil. So I play soccer, judo, dance. You know, I tried to move a lot when I was young.
Capoeira.
I play a little bit. I play a little bit because we have in the school, you know, some like a cultural moments. You know, capoeira is very cultural, you know, dancing and martial arts here in Brazil. So we play a little bit, but mostly it's more soccer. How you guys know, here's soccer game.
Soccer prevails.
So, yes, and I start with soccer. You know, I not start with gymnastics.
How old were you when you started with soccer?
8, 7. No,
okay.
we play all the time, but I
all
start
the time,
training
yes.
all the time. Yeah, I start to train a little bit more. You know, of course, some like a kid level. You know, since I'm 8 years old, and I start to play, and in the school. And after I moved from one very famous club here in Brazil, the name is the Flamengo. And I start to practice more, you know, and that's one of the things is really nice because they give us a chance to do a gymnastics to increase the level of movement, you know, in the field. So it's very funny because normally the soccer games they just want to be inside the soccer field, but the Flamengo they have training structure to put the kids in the other sports to increase the mentality, you know. That's a good one. And okay, when I moved to the gym, in the gymnastic gym, they have a trampoline over there. You know? So just for of course the gymnastic you know, practice in the trampoline. So I try over there and I start to jump as a crazy, you know, jump. And one of the gymnast coaches over there, they say, "Oh, why you not try to do a gymnast? Because you have very good abilities to do the things, you know, cartwheel, you know, backhand springs, stuff something like that, you know, without any training, you know, specific training for gymnastics, you know." And okay, I decided to do both in this club, and for 1 year or two, I don't remember. And after that, I moved to other neighborhood, and so the gymnastics and soccer started to be far to do it. School and go to the gym is really far from me, and I tried to find a club in Tijuca, you know, and we tried to the military school. In that moment, it's a really famous club in Brazil. So when I arrived there, I tried to find a gymnast, you know, club, but there have a trampoline club, you know, but the beginning, you know, So I'm always already 11, 12 years old. No, 11, didn't turn 12. So that's in 89, 1989. So yes, I'm start to practice over there, and I fell in love, and completely in love.
And that was
No,
only trampoline at that club, or
no,
they
no, no.
had
They
double
have
mini and
no.
tumbling.
Double mini does exist at all in Brazil. They don't have a double mini.
At that
So
time, at that
and
time,
that time, of course, in that time, and they have a mini tramp. So like you, we did a lot of competition on mini tramp.
I
A
remember
lot
those
of
times.
yeah. I'm like I competed mini tramp till I'm 23, 24 years old. In Brazil in the national club team competition. So okay, and I started to do a tumbling. I started tumbling, not in trampoline, tumbling. I did the tumbling a lot because it's very close to the gymnastic. Is and after that I moved to the trampoline to increase the acrobatic level. You know, and day by day I start to increase, but with very very poor technique because we don't have a you know very very poor technique. If I mean I remember, it's really hard because you don't have any internet access stuff to learn the things in the correct way. We just try, Okay, you do a front flip. Okay, let's go try to full. Let's go try to 1.5. Crazy stuff. Without and just throw the mat and that's it.
That
It's
sounds
crazy.
painful.
Yeah. I fell in my head many times. So my God, I don't know how I not broke nothing, but yeah, it's funny situation. It just the start of the sport in Brazil. Is really really hard when we start one sport and no one know what's going on. They know about gymnastics, but trampoline is different. So
So
and after that,
how was the equipment at that time in the
a
college?
Nissan,
Nissan
Nissan,
trampoline
Nissan trampoline. If I'm not wrong, it's something like a 12 by 8.
by six,
Very
12 by 6, I think. What's
12 by
the
Like
6
a half,
maybe.
dimensions?
like
Yeah,
a
it's very
half-inch bed,
yeah
like
yeah
the
yeah yeah
old
something like
double
that.
mini.
Something like that. Yes, something like that. Very very hard, heavily. When you jump.
Did it
You
have
know,
springs or elastics?
no springs. Come on, I'm not too old, man. Springs.
He's
No,
not
I
as old
jumped.
as
The
I
you,
jumped
TV,
on.
Nuno.
No,
the
I'm jumped
TV.
on elastics. He's older than me.
Oh man. So yeah, in that moment, but everything's funny because you are young. You just one jump. Doesn't matter if the bed push you up or not. Just jump. And try to do crazy things inside. The main moment is not about to try to do 10 skills. It's about to do just one skill with the maximum difficulty possible. That's the thing in that moment.
That's the adrenaline.
Exactly. So yeah, man, it's funny moments. And in 2019, the people in Brazil went to the Essen in Germany, the World Champions in Essen. And that after that the things start to be more serious, you know because okay, the guys just travel over there and come back with tapes, VHS. We start to look and say, come on, man, it's hard. I didn't expect this. The guys jump so higher, oh, they do 10 skills, come on, 10 skills and connect, so you need to connect 10 skills. You don't know nothing about the rules. It's crazy. In that moment is the first time I saw the Moskalenko jump. That moment. You know, he won the competition. You know, against Poliaros, the big jumpers from my time. And I say, man, for sure one day I would like to go over there and jump with those guys. Not try to beat them, but just jump together and
So
feel this.
who would you consider one of your idols?
Yeah, trampoline or sports, all sports.
Trampoline.
For sure, all guys from my generation is gonna say Moskalenko. It's no doubt. It's a Moskalenko point. Okay, Dong is okay. All guys, it's okay. They jump very well. Poliarchid is an amazing guy. For me, it's the best technique, you know, arm positions, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Moskalenko is Moskalenko, man. You know, they can turn the picture of the game very fast. And, you know, if he extra pounds, you know, he's some fat, you know, he just come back and boom, you know, it's amazing. I have a fun history. I have a very fun history in '92. It's my first words in New Zealand. You know, we went in New Auckland, and then we stayed in the same hotel of the Russians, the Soviet Union. And at that time is not the Soviet Union anymore. It's not Russian. You stay in the middle of the decision to be a country, not the countries. You know what I mean? Ukrainian, Belarus, Russian. They decide which place they want to go. So, and that moment, so we started the same hotel with the guys, and I went to the elevator one time, and who is there? Moskalenko, Elena Merkulova, Danielchenko. I'm a simple Tatiana Lushina was there also in the same elevator, and I'm alone. So I'm like, I go up the top of the guys in the world. Man, I'm super freaked out. And I remember I went out to the elevator, start to cry, man. Say, come on, I don't believe with this situation. I stay with my stars, you know, because imagine it, '92. Imagine how many times I watched the video from Essen. 1,000 times. Because I'm one guy, I look too much videos. I love since I'm one guy, I look the videos a lot to try to learn, to try to understand a little bit better. You know.
And was that your first World Championships in '92 that you were at?
Yes.
Okay, so you were hanging out with them at your very first World Championships.
Yeah.
That's exciting, right?
Yeah. And then I was very young because I have some like 14 years old, you know, and in that time you can compete in both competitions, you know, the senior competition and age group competition that moment. So I did the both competitions, you know, and other fact in this competition, I jumped just before Moskalenko. That man, you know, I just jumped the straight jump. I did the straight jumps. Man, my legs shake so much, you know, so much. And I fell, you know, in the straight jump. Bah! You know, and we don't know the rules, you know. I say, okay, I need to go out because I fell in the straight jump. I need to go down and finish for me. And the former judge from Portugal, Felipe Carvalho, you know, he say, no, stay because you just fell in the straight jumps. You can continue. You can try again.
You can do it again.
Do it again, man. Let's go. And okay, I did, you know, but, you know, it's very funny. And Moskalenko come to me and say, well done, little boy. You're doing well. That's your first time in the court, you know, inside the game. I looked like, you know, a cat, you know, my eyes, you know, just like, in that moment, big eyes, man. And then after that, we start to increase the level. We have my hero, not my idol, but my hero inside the sport. He already passed away. Is Hubert Bartot. I don't know if you guys know him. He's a French guy. He is he was a world champion in synchronized with Fabrice. No, he's not a world champion. I think he got a bronze medal in synchronized in 19. But he's a very famous guy, you know. And after he moved to Cirque du Soleil to be to work in casting, but he passed away. So when he come to Brazil, man, he changed a lot. He changed everything, you know, because he started to teach us drills, correct drills, not crazy drills, but correct drills for all movement. In that moment, to 92 to 93, I learned almost all tricks in trampoline. Maybe it's too fast.
1 year.
In 1 year, that's the point. I learned almost all tricks. Of course, not the triples because I don't have you know, powerful to do the triples, but all twists tricks I did.
And how old were you at that time? From 92 to 93, were you 14?
15, 15, 16, 16,
15,
15,
16.
16. Yep.
And
Yeah.
did you ever have any skill problems after that?
Oh, yes, yeah, yes. But after, for a long time, so after a long time, not in that moment,
Not in
I
that
had problem,
moment.
not that moment, and because I'm very, very good with spatial orientation, you know, so never have some blackouts and stuff, something like that moment, you know. And also I learned everything. So in my goals is not to do a very good sequence in the trampoline, is a hit the code of points, all movements inside the code of points. In that moment, it's not FIG, it's a FIT, FIT, you call FIT?
Yeah,
FIT, yes. FIT, yeah.
Yeah, in that moment, they have a code. And I try to hit all tricks in that moment. It's something like a challenge. I want to do some like a full front barani. So in that moment, I start to do my triples, and I did almost of them.
So
I like a
I'm
16,
curious.
17.
I'm curious about one thing. So you started more or less around 7 years old, correct? When you
Yep.
started with soccer, and then you switched to gymnastics and did that at the same time. And then at 14, you had your first world championships, correct?
Yep.
That's fast.
Wow.
Yeah, because don't have too many people practicing in Brazil. That's the thing, If you have 12 guys in that moment, to do some like to have some like a 4 doubles, because I went to the New Zealand with 4 doubles, a double full handy, something like that, 1/3 quarter, stuff like that, It's not a big skills, but in that moment, no one do more than this, you know. So yeah, so like
That was good.
just
It means you had the talent. It means you had the talent to learn those things, and you already had the power to do them. But so it's okay. It's fast for our standards right now, right? We have so many athletes practicing right now that the competition is much tighter. So it's harder for an athlete to go from 7 years old starting to 14 years old doing world championships. We're not talking about WAG. We're talking about world championships. So it's nowadays we don't see that. Well, they can't even do that anymore, obviously, because we can only do world championships at 17 years old. But even if they could, I doubt we would see many cases like that, because we have so many more athletes competing.
But
But
there's
after,
it's
go,
also
Steven.
different. I mean, because he didn't have anyone else in the country that necessarily that had to beat out, right? He just had
Correct.
to be able to. If he could do 10 skills, then he could go to the world
He
championships.
could go
right?
to world championships. Yeah, correct.
So it's a
but
little
the main point is not all the time you do it 10 skills. Sometimes you question. That's the thing, Don't have any rules, inside the country to decide. Okay, if you can do 10 skills, you go to the world. No, you go to the world because we need to. You guys go to the world, to start to increase the sports in Brazil. That's the
Yes.
thing,
So
Sorry, Steven. So
go ahead.
first world championships with 14. When was the last one, and how many were there in the middle?
Okay. My last world is 2003 as athlete, in Germany,
Hanover.
Hanover, if I'm not wrong, Hanover.
It was my final. I was finalist there.
Yeah, I know. So I did as athlete 7 worlds.
7 world championships. Well,
Yeah.
that's pretty good, because at the time it was one every 2 years and not every year like now.
Not all, because when the sports start to be Olympic,
You are correct.
After 98, start to do a 99 Sun City, and after that,
But 2001, because that was just one to switch the cycle only. So it was
exactly
98, 99, and then 2001, 2003.
2003,
So
exactly.
and then only after 2009, I think they started one by one every year. So you had 2 years there in a row, which was 1998 and 1999, but then there was 2 years.
Yeah, but he missed 93, 95, and 97. Missed out. Right.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. Yeah. All right.
So so your first world championships in 1992, did you compete in double mini or only trampoline?
Now double mini and trampoline.
So did you have a double mini to practice at that point at home?
In final of 19, the double mini arrived in Brazil. Uh, we start to practice, but it didn't start. It didn't jump too much in double mini. You know, we just tried to increase the level in trampoline after move to the double mini. You know, so I didn't too much practice in double mini. But yeah, man, this very nice moment in double mini. Too much crashes in double mini. the, in that moment, because in that moment the double mini is much more shorter. It's not so large.
Dinner.
Something like now.
Yeah.
Dinner. Yeah. So.
So if Dimitri Polyrush would have jumped on it, his feet would have hit the side pads on both sides, probably, right? That's how skinny
Probably
it
for
was.
sure. Yeah, because he jumps right there.
Poor Dimitri.
So we go for 1992 first World Championships. Fast forward to 1998 World Championships. You end up winning the World Championships on the double mini. Did it come as a surprise, or were you getting better with each and every World Championships, expecting to go in for a medal at the 1998 World Championships?
Yeah, I start to increase my level in double mini because I have a facility to run. I'm running very fast, so I have a very powerful in the double mini. And the trampoline, I already have the skills, so I just adapt, you know, for the double mini. And I'm 97. I think we have one Canadian coach. He give a course for us. How the name? Adam Johnson, his name. The very famous coach in Canada. But I think he passed away already also. And he teach us the big double mini technique, you know. He give the secret for us in 97. And I train a lot in that moment. When I was in the 98 in Australia, when I started training, the people start to say, man, this boy will be he have a chance to be a world champion. And that moment I start to realize, you know, I can win the world champion.
You start believing.
I start to believe in that, you know. So but that's in the beginning the week, when you were arriving in Australia. When I watch in that moment, I'm very clever to watch the trainings for everybody, you know. Watch every practice, everybody, you know. I can see all the guys, all passes, everything. So I decide with my coach, okay, let's go use this pass and try to be a world champion.
Strategy,
you know.
And then
And
after,
it is a really important year for me, you know. It's great because I went to Russia also to do a training camp with Tatiana Kovaleva. After that, we moved to Portugal, and I compete against Nuno in
how long?
Lola, no.
No. It was near Lisbon.
Yeah, Lisbon, the expo. At the same time, they have a Lisbon expo in Lisbon.
Expo 98, yes. And we had a
Expo.
Taça Latina.
Taça Latina, yes.
Yes, and yes, I won that one. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I remember. I'm very pissed. I remember I was very pissed because you're more or younger than me. And but it's okay.
I think I did my best double mini competition ever in that competition. It changed everything.
Yeah.
It changed everything for me.
I don't know why you're not getting the world champion. You know, you're not getting the first place because you're a really good jumper in double mini. Really good.
Well, I guess a set of occasions, and I don't know. It's just, but that competition did change everything for me. I was the alternate for World Championships that year, and then I changed from alternate to into the team, and that was my first World Championships. Like we talked already on the first episode. I was like so scared. I was shaky when we went to line up for that World Championships. And then 99, that I think that I had a really good chance at winning World Championships. Then I made a mistake, and it was not New Life finals. I think in finals I probably had the highest score of everyone, but it was not.
Yeah, 1990. So. You won the final. Yeah, if you take just the final, you're on the first. I remember.
Yes. but it was
this
not New
situation.
Life finals. So I did full granny straight, full straight with 9-9 execution,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Can it
I
be
will never.
possible? I guess back
Well,
in old code of points.
yes, trust me, it was possible. If you would see the routine right now, you probably would give 10, but it doesn't matter. It's
No,
nine
I
nine. I
don't
was
know if
pretty
it's
happy.
10, but it's 9-9 for sure.
Okay, nine
Because
nine.
I remember
Yeah,
it was a big, big passing, and see. But you're so far for the tops.
yeah,
I remember
correct,
so far.
correct.
You cannot move the.
I was lucky to make finals on that World Championships. So I made a huge mistake on my second pass in prelims. So I was lucky to make finals. But back to you, Rodolfo.
Of
So
course.
Rodolfo, so after the 1998 World Championships, so you kind of touched up on that you started believing that you could be the world champion. Do you think it's because of that result in 1998 that led to more medals in 99 and 2001 that you believed that you could, or do you think it would have happened no matter what?
It's funny because after '98, I start to figure out to give up, to quit the sport. Because before that, it's really hard, to be in the competitions because uh, the money, the federation doesn't help too much. Before that, so I'm like a 92, I need to pay to my wards. It's a lot of money. Imagine it in 92 to travel to New Zealand. You know, 94. Okay, I have support of my club. 96 also, 98 also. But is everything because of 98 already 21. I was in the university. I need to work. I already work as a coach in 98 for the youngers. So is everything the balance between, okay, stay in the high level, continue the high level, or have money, to do the things in the life. That's the trick situation. It was trick situation in that moment in my life. So, but the people start saying, "Man, continue because already the sports in the Olympics, continue, try, 99 because the first qualified for the Olympic Games." And I start to, okay, I decide, okay, let's go continue. And let's go try, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
So
how did you feel when you heard about the news that trampoline was going to be an Olympic discipline? Because I know you were one of the first ones to know. Do you want to tell us about that moment?
So sorry. Okay. First time I start to figure out the trampoline will be Olympic in '96 because the 5G doing the gala competition, and there in that moment in Atlanta they put trampoline over there and tumbling
As an exhibition.
exhibition exactly, and they ask Poliarashi, Manuel Duran, Davi Martin, all those guys, the top of the sports in that moment, you know, make the presentation of trampoline for the world, and tumbling also with the big jumpers, Kravinovsky, all guys, for this level. And that moment I start, okay, uh, I'm pretty sure if they put this in the presentation, the gala, they have a chance to be Olympic. So we have a lot of amount of countries competing in the world in that moment also. So they spread the trampoline around the world a lot. So and we received the news in '97 in Indo-Pacific in South Africa. The former president, Home Frilic, they give us the information. They announced the situation. Okay, the EOC, they decided the trampoline now is a official Olympic sport. So that's a shock for everybody in that moment. So whoa, everybody in the middle of the open ceremony, they start to be crazy and clap, scream, sound like a soccer game. So we win the game. So we won the game. Ah, the trampoline is a Olympic game now. So yeah, and that's changed
So
a lot to
tell
the
me,
sport.
yes, tell me, how did your goals in the sport were before you know that it was an Olympic discipline to go after it was an Olympic discipline? What did it change in you? Because I remember for myself, I was jumping before I knew that trampoline was an Olympic discipline. And, for me, going to world championships was the ultimate thing. I really wanted to be a world champion, right? And then the moment it goes into the Olympics, then going to the Olympic Games becomes a goal as well, right? So how did it change for you?
It's changed a lot because you have a different goals, especially when you start to realize you can get a spot, in the Olympics, because in that moment also I have a not high level on the trampoline, not the top, but some like a medium level, medium, high level, some like I hit from around 30 in the worlds, in that level, in that moment, 30, 20, 25, and that flipped a lot, all those guys. So in one competition, we can be, inside of the ranking for the Olympics, because at that moment it's not a 16th place, it's 12th place. So it's much more harder than now, So, and I say, okay, let's go try in 1999 in Africa to hit this goal. And I'm training a lot in 99, I increased too much my difficult. Also, I start to do much more physical preparation, I start to decide to lift weights, running, swim, I move my head for that way, especially my coach. My coach pushed too much in that way because in that moment also I play football in the bit. I say, okay, football is enough to get a very good cardio and strong legs, and that's it. But that's a mistake,
Yeah, I don't know if any coach will go for that. Hey, coach, I'm gonna go work out at the beach, and it's gonna be enough conditioning, so don't worry.
Believe me, I say that for my coach many times, And after he convinced me to, okay, Rodolfo, you need to a special coach for that, for this. They hire one personal training for me in that moment. So I increased all those parts. My level start to grow because if you have a good physical condition, of course, it's much more easy to have a very good trainings, not just one training by week or two, you hit the targets, but the other you're tired. So, if in that moment I start to have a very good constant trainings during 2 months, 3 months. And when I go to the worlds in that moment, I did very good, but it's very hard, Many of the guys stay in the same level than I, so they have a better competition that moment. So I hit some like a 15th place, I guess. So imagine if he's now, I'm in the Olympics. So yeah.
So with that long career, what would you define as your highest successful moment and your lowest unsuccessful moment?
Okay. Everybody gonna say, okay, my highlight is to be a world champion. But for me, in 94, in the age groups, I made a final in the 16, 17 category. I was 16, and I got the silver medal in the trampoline. That's the first medal in Brazil in trampoline in the age group. So that moment is for me is the most important in the trampoline for me, and I explain why. Because in the beginning of 94, I have a very bad crash in the motorcycle, and I broke my arms in 3 parts in January
Wow.
of 94. And the doctors say I need to spend some like 9 months to recover, 100% recover. And then I start to, say, okay, I'm gonna lose the worlds in 94 in Porto. And I started training as a crazy, and I come back in 6 months. And so I have some like 2 months to training for the Portugal. So in 2 months, I training as a crazy. And in the words, I didn't so, but I want to move to the age group. In that moment, we have a very good jumpers. That one, Manuel Duran, Matheus Turgeon, Ben Snape, Daniel Neal, David Martin, all those guys in the Alexander Husakov just show up in that moment. all those guys stay in this competition, and I move in the final with those guys. Imagine it, all those guys in the same final. You
Plus
know,
the Brazilian.
the enemy. I'm just something like that. Hello, enemy. All good. And I'm so focused, you know, in that competition, because the people start to look at me, and not just in the double mini, but start to look at me in the trampoline, and especially the French guys, because the French team, they know I train with Hubert Bartot. So they start to say, okay, this boy in Brazil is really good. So take a look at him, blah, blah, blah. And I did a very good final. Now I think I'm last I'm the first jump in the final, and I hit so well the scores, you know, and just sit and look at those guys. Let's score, and of course, coming Manuel Duran, he's a already big talent, you know. He did a very good sequence, so he got a gold medal. But at that moment, I'm so proud of me, you know, because of not the medal, for all the picture of the situation, you know, for my year is so hard, you know. So that's for me the most highlight in my moments, the best moment, you know.
So what would you consider the lowest?
The lowest.
So I remember 2001 Akita World Games, when you did not do very well in double mini, and I think it was 2001. You were very disappointed with that one at the time, because it was a very important competition, not just for your evolution, but also funding in Brazil and everything. And I remember you were extremely disappointed with that one. But is that the one that you consider your lowest moment, or are there others that would be even worse than that one?
Yeah, the Kita is really tough situation over there, because it's too much external situation. You know, problem with the federation, because they don't want to pay for this trip. I need to pay for this trip, not just for me, but the judge also. You know, I just come from Denmark, so I asked them to do a training camp with you guys in Portugal, because you remember in 97, 98, I went to Portugal many times, you know, to do training camps with you guys. And I asked, okay, I have a house, I have a spot to train, I have a very good coach over there, you know, so why I cannot stay in the Europe? Because it's like a gap, is like a 3 weeks gap between the Worlds and the World Games in Akita. Like 2 weeks, man.
And for people that don't know, Worlds in that year was around beginning of July, I think. At the time, World Championships was later. It was earlier in the year and not later like it is right now. So,
yeah. And I'll say the federation say you need to come back in Brazil. So I spent some like 2 days training, more jet lag, and come back training the gym. In that moment, the equipment is not so well in my club, and I have to travel to Japan more 2 days. You know, just arrive in Tokyo alone, because the Jude just come back, just go over there after 2 days or 3 days after me. So I arrive alone, you know, in Tokyo. In center of Tokyo, some like 2 in the morning, you know, alone, man. So I need to find, you know, a train to go to Akita.
Did you just look it up on your iPhone?
Oh, come on. No way, man. I'm trying to communicate with one Japanese. He speaks very poor English, better than mine for sure. And yeah, you did it too much to make me call, you know. Oh, Akita, you know, something like that with the fingers.
Universal language.
Oh, of course. And so I get the train, you know, but it's a farm train. They have some like you know, animals inside the train, you know. So yeah, because I asked the guy, you know, to give me the most fast train to go to Akita. I don't want to stay here alone in Tokyo.
So you went with a bunch of sheep and goats and pigs?
Something like that, you know. something like that. It's chicken all the places, no chickens and stuff. So it's insane. And I arrive in Quito. In that moment, no, I arrived there. It's like a 5 a.m. You know, I'm so early. No one's for the guy
Organization.
for the organization over there to pick me up and go to the hotel. No one's there. So I sit, say, man, what I'm doing here, man? Why I'm here in this situation in Japan, man? I'm very lost, you know. And I saw one guy running, and that guy is Hoskus. He saved me, man. He saved me in that moment. You know, he picked me up. Okay, Rodolfo, what you doing here is too early. I say, man, they just arrived now. I don't know where I need to go, man. And
And
he helped me and put me in that hotel. But that competition is not about the results. It's more about the global picture of the situation. I'm more sad about the all situation, not about the medal or the results. It's more about everything, you know. But for me, the worst situation is 2003, and Steven asked me if I have some blocks, you know, problem with the skills. In that moment, I already work in the show in Europe, and we have too much stress, you know, to the qualifying because we need to move me and Rodrigo, you know him. We need to move Belgium to Brazil just to do the qualifying. We need to pay for that, you know. So we have a much more level for the others, all those things, and they push us to come back and do the qualifying. And we think it's super unfair, but in that moment, something like that. So like now I understand the point. You know, we need to do the qualifying with everybody in the same equipment, with the same picture, not to be in the Europe, jump in the Trump, send the video, and all good so far. No, we need to be off the guys, and that's it. So, well, imagine we training over there in Europe in Trump, and then we move to Brazil and jump in the national trampoline. Some like a boat, you know, you jump, you shake it, the legs open, you know, it's a situation. And of course, we crash. We fell in the competition. Imagine you come back to Europe, you watch the trampoline and say, that's not good trampoline for us. We crash. Now we spend some like $3,000, $4,000 in that moment. And we be out for the national, the worlds. It's not fair, you know, but they decided to put us in the competition. But I'm so mentally stressful, you know, I start to lose my skills. It's not because the technique, it's because the stress, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But the pressure, you know, and now that's the worst situation for me because I come from 98 world champion, 99 world champion plus world records, 2001 medal again. So 3 worlds on the road with medal. And then arrived there in 2003, I cannot do back skills, you know. So imagine double mini. You know, it's really tough situation. That's the worst moment for me in the trampoline. That's
so what was the issue? You wouldn't go for the skills, or you would go and get lost, or you were twisting or not twisting?
I suppose normally I'm a twist guy, you know, did a lot of twists. So when I go to halving tuck, I do Arabian, you know, I not complete the half, you know, I just stuck in the middle of the
Like a quarter
twist.
turn.
A quarter turn, yeah, exactly. And I stuck all those tricks, you know, and I start to, you know, back in the training room and start to do drills with the back full, you know, half twist, stuff like that. With Tatiana in that moment helped me a lot. Tatiana Figueiredo is the national coach. Mm-hmm. She helped me a lot in that moment. I remember she stayed by my side and throw the mat, give me a good guidelines to help me to just not come back to do the skills, but to be more calm, you know, to take out my stress. In that moment, okay, I for sure didn't make well, but yeah, it's really tough.
That's what you would consider the lowest point.
Yeah,
that's what you consider your lowest point.
I remember, and maybe Nuno, you've also shared the same feeling when Rodolfo was talking about his time in Tokyo. Before iPhones and smartphones, when you are lost in another country and you don't speak that language, that has got to be the scariest feeling in the world. I
I
remember
totally agree.
with one time with my teammates, we we were in Spain. It's not where it's at now. It's not. It was Albacete. It was in
Hmm.
Albacete, Spain. Our first time there, and we're like, let's go explore. So we went out to explore, and before we know it, we have no recollection of which way is back to the hotel. And like, I barely spoke any Spanish at the time, and uh we almost didn't make it back. We were in the Logan and I were in the individual final and the synchro final, and we literally just made it back in time for warm up. Our coaches were so mad at us, and we thought we weren't going to make it back for the final. So I don't, I'm
Wow.
sure you've probably felt the same thing. It's got to be the worst feeling in the world.
It's the worst
Super
feeling.
stress.
I think that was something that always scared me. So because of that, I always prevented it ahead of time. So I tried never to
Nice.
be lost. I
You're
don't think I
you're smarter than
ever,
us.
yeah, in that part, yes. I think I don't ever found myself in that situation. And there was, I'm not gonna deny it. There was some times that I find I was in close to that situation, but I got it ahead of time. I can tell you this story. Just 2018 Youth Olympic Games. Me and the president of the Athletes Commission, we took the bus the wrong direction. So it was not intentional. We did not go for sightseeing. We were trying to go to the hotel, but we took the bus the wrong direction. 30 minutes later, we're like, we should be at the hotel by now. And we start seeing we're on the outsides of Buenos Aires, and we're like very sketchy. And I'm like, okay. So I grabbed my phone right away and see, or we got off the bus, we asked for help, and here we go on the other on the other direction. But that alone was already scary. So I can imagine, Rudolph, how were you? How old were you when you were in 2001 in Akita by yourself at the airport without knowing what to do? How old were
uh,
you?
let me make my mathematics here. 24, I think 23, something like that. Because I turned world champion
See,
was 21, so 24. It's not big deal. It's because of, that moment I'm really fast with the situation. I not get lost too much time. So because I arrive in Tokyo, the train station just by side of the airport is very,
yeah,
very, very close. So I just go over there, just take the wrong train, you know, not the correct train. So when I arrive over there, I know that Akita is always a small city, so it's over
you,
there. Point.
you just got the train with the chickens.
And that's it. I think the worst to be lost when I was in '98 in Moscow. I decided to take a bus alone, and Russia in that moment is really hard. And I'm very lost. I take some like 5 hours to come back to the hotel. You know,
In
and
Russia
Whoa.
by
in
himself.
Russia, yes, yes, and that moment I know it's funny because at that moment I tried to say some words in Russian and please, привет, пока. I try to be fun with those guys, but they are very serious. They
Yeah,
don't
not
get,
fun at that time.
Yeah, I don't
and
think many of them are speaking English or are very
no,
willing to go out of their way to help a stranger.
exactly. So yeah, but I walked for the city 5 hours, and I look the hotel. I say, okay, that's our hotel, but I stay other side of the city, so it takes so long.
But but Rodolfo, you were always really really good with languages. I remember even in 2001 in Japan, you already knew some Japanese. I was extremely impressed with how you knew about Japanese, and like, so Rodolfo, how did you learn? And like, oh, I just learned by catching up and talking and some
That's
words,
it.
and you were always really really good with language. So how many languages can you speak right now?
Right now, I'm stuck now because I don't speak too much
You don't practice.
French. Normally, Spanish is really well. French, it's okay. English, I can stay. Russian, if I stay one week with the Russians, especially when I stay in the circus, you know, my Russian come back really fast because all the time I catch up with the Russian guys because you know the Russians, they in the very beginning they look like very serious guys, but when you know them, man, they are very friendly. So they take you as a family, very
Yes.
very strong as a friendly, and they start to help you to learn the language. So that's the good moments. That's the
So,
best. So in the Japanese in that moment, I remember I got qualifying for the 2001, no 2001 or 2009, 19, 99. And I know, say I go to Akita, I need to say some words in Japanese, but a few words, man. It's not too impressive, you know. Something like hello, I would like to go in that place, you know. This easy stuff. And I have a good coach in Japanese. They took Nakata. He helped
I
with
took
some
a
words.
Nakata.
They took Nakata.
so
Yes.
you mentioned some of your Russian friends in the circus. When did you tell us a story about how you got from trampoline into the circus? Were you an athlete in the circus, or did you just strictly go into the circus as a coach? And what exactly do you coach in the circus?
Okay. First question. I started Cirque with in '97. You know, as a performer.
Wow.
You know, of course, I'm not training with the Cirque school, but they asked me to go over there to do some shows, and they want to go to the one very famous festival in the world, uh, Cirque de Demain in Paris, and they make a team, trampoline team, you know. But of course, not a regular trampoline, you know, with double stairs. You call double stairs, tricky with two people on the trampoline, you know. And they asked me and one of the guys in the team for the National Military School to be a part of this team. And we started training a lot with the Cirque guys. And we moved there. We went in Paris in this festival. We got the bronze medal, the first medal from Brazil in the Cirque in this big festival. So, and after that, the Cirque invited me in '98 in this festival. They invited me to do the creation of Lanuba.
So
Yes,
Cirque du
and
Soleil, Cirque
In
du Soleil
yeah,
invited you.
yeah, they invite me
it
to do
was
the creation.
was Lanuba in Orlando at the time,
Yes,
or no?
yes. No,
Yeah.
Lanuba always in Orlando. Is a fixed show in Orlando. It was because it's already closed.
Not anymore. Yes.
So, and I decided to stay because my level, you know, in the trampoline, the double mini, stay in a good level. I say, okay, I would like to try Australia because I would like to go in Australia in that moment. It's a nice country. So I would like to stay more time in the trampoline and decide not to accept the invitation. So, and in that time, Hubert Borto is already in the Cirque. He always tried to push me to come to the Cirque, come to the Cirque, like always, you know, declining the invitation. And in 2004, 2004, yes, no. Yeah, 2004, after I quit the sport in 2003, I decided to move to Europe to do shows, trampoline shows, trampoline shows in Belgium.
Is it popular?
A trampoline
The
or what?
trampoline shows in through Europe.
In trampoline, yes. They have a lot of shows. Of course, it's very beginning. Of course, the Lanuba, they push other companies to have a trampoline in the shows. So Dralion also in that moment they have a trampoline in the show. So I stay in Europe, in Belgium, and Holland. After moved to Holland, we do the same trampoline, and after moved to Macau, you know, close to Hong Kong, close to China, and also trampoline. I'm always involved in that moment of circuit shows, stuff something like that. And after I come back to trampoline, in that moment, I turned a national coach in Brazil, and one circuit invited me to be a trampoline coach over there. You know, very famous circuit here in Brazil. They say, okay, I would like to have you as a coach. And at that moment, I started really coaching the cirque, for other disciplines, Of course, not more acrobatics, not the other disciplines, so like junglers, stuff like that. And but in that moment also, I'm a very organized guy, I'm very graphic guy, statistic guy, when I look the shows, I measure, the level of the shows, something like that. In one moment, one guy from Cirque, they show up over there because he went to see the show, and he started to ask me many questions about coaching, and I show him my computer and many draws, Excel platforms, something like that. And he really impressive. Okay, but why you do that? I say, because I believe the cirque can be the same of the sports. If you control the level, you can control the mesh of endurance. You can drop down the level of endurance of the cirque. And after that, he invited me. He showed his card. Say, I'm a senior head coach from Cirque du Soleil. I'd like to hire you. I'd like to hire you.
That's the right guy to talk to.
Yeah, no. He just showed up. I don't have idea who he's. He say, I just work in Cirque du Soleil. I didn't know him. And when I remember Richard Lapage, his name. He's a very funny guy, He's blonde hair, some like a surfer guy, some like a dude, how's it going? Some like this. I say, you didn't expect he is some like a high level coaching. And he gave him the car, And I already have a deal with the federation to go to Sofia in 2004.
As national
2004.
coach?
Yes, as a national coach, yes.
Sofia was 2003.
No,
exactly. Sorry. No. 2003 was Hanover. Sofia
2005 was Eindhoven.
Yes.
The first time Sofia, Bulgaria was 2013.
Yeah, the first, yeah.
13, right. 13, exactly. So I say to him, so I have a compromise to be a part of the national team. I cannot go to the Cirque, cannot move and leave the guys, something like that. And when I come back, the guys in the federation decide, about the cycle, who'll be a coach, blah, blah, blah. And I decided, okay, let's go move to the Cirque du Soleil. And after that, I started coaching and start to learn other situations.
Did you work with like any other like acrobatics, such as like a teeter board or a Russian swing?
Yeah. So that moment when I arrive in Corteu, they have a teeter board, they have a trampoline bed, Hussier, Russian cadro, and the most fun is chandelier. You call lustre, so like a big chandelier, big lustre.
Yeah.
And they say, okay, Rodolfo, you in charge of trample beds because trample.
Yeah.
And you'll be in charge of lustre. I say, okay, that's aero act. I don't have idea how I'm deal with this. And that moment I start to realize it's funny because there's some like 5 girls, the girls fight a lot. I need
the same thing everywhere.
Yeah, I needed to to deal with these girls, but I use the coach skills, because before in trampoline I coached too many girls and boys, of course, and I start to use the sport mentality to maintain the level, to keep the girls more calm to do the shows, and that I start to learn the other how do you say that in English?
The shows.
The other acts. Not just acrobat contents. No, for the other acts. It's overall is almost the same. Depends of because of the circle have two parts. If you are head coach, you have a one way to coach. If you are coach, another way. Have a very different between the two positions inside the circle. It's different in the sport because when you was a head coach, you in charge, for all program. You know what I mean? You build up the program. And when I was a coach, you will be in the field. You go to the field. all the time. And the cirque is a little bit
So
different.
so a head coach is more like a manager, like a
Yeah,
coordinator.
completely manager. They manage the people, and also he's do all reports. I
Mm-hmm.
remember I did a lot of reports, man. It's like in my first month. You know who is my mentor in the cocktail? Jeremy Brock. You know, former Canadian champion.
Yes.
When I
Yes.
arrived there, I'm so happy to see him. You know, say, "Oh, you're my mentor," because he did my integration in the cirque. You know, I didn't know he was there, so I'm
I
so
didn't know he
happy.
was at the circus as well. I know who Jeremy Brock is, but I didn't know he was at the circus.
Yeah, yeah, he's coach over there for many years, and also former artists over there.
Mm-hmm.
So
So that's pretty cool. I think that's a road I think a lot of athletes take to go and be an athlete in Cirque, but it's not very often that we see the coaching side switch over. Of course, there's some Manu Durans or obviously yourself. We see it, but it's not as common as the athletes. So I like to steer the conversation back to trampoline, competitive trampoline with my next question. What is your opinion on the rules, and are you aware of the rules, the new code of points that are going to now be in effect starting in January 1st of 2022?
that's a tricky question. Everything is a rumor, you know. It's not official. Nothing is official now. So what I think they try to do some different ways to the competition, for sure. But I would like to see how the TC gonna figure out the way, you know, to be better to go to the finals. You know, when you look, you have a qualify one, qualify two, you have a final one, final two. You know, how the amount of the athletes, how many flags they can go to the final. That's many questions inside of this situation. Can be tricky for the TC decide, the official decide which way they go take it for the best for the all athletes, all countries. Because now, if you look, it's a little bit harder for the median countries, you know, to go to the finals. A little bit tricky. If you look, you know, the rules a little bit tricky. But I'm sure the TC gonna figure out the best way for the athletes. And of course, Nuno is involved in this situation, this process, because now is when you look in a positive way, they have one more year to think about, you know,
Correct.
if they need to change something to help the athletes to have a better competition. You know, I think that's the duties of the TC, not just to organize the rules, but to care about the athletes and the countries, especially the countries when they start to do the trampoline, you know, to push the countries to come in the trampoline world. You know, that's I think the one the duties of the TC.
So I agree with that, and of course I cannot say things that are being discussed at this point. But let's start with the beginning that is everyone knows, and it was presented at World Championships to the coaches and to the athletes what the TC would like to do, which is that in trampoline having two routines, two voluntary routines where you choose the best one or the highest score would count. What do you feel about that?
I think it's good, you know, because they push the athletes to do more skills, hard skills, or not, you know, depend of the strategy. One thing when I look the codes, they not mention about okay, that's we talk about the strategy of the competition.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, if I know my athlete can hit some like 59 points, let's go take this score. You know, in the first pass, if he don't want to do the second pass, he's allowed to do that because nothing is right down over there. He need to make two sequence, so
Correct.
two
Right.
pass. So you can decide, okay, let's go keep the energy, do one skill because you hit very good points, and that's it. If you crash, you have a second attempt to go. So is a tricky because you don't know if it's fair or unfair. Who did the first pass and they hit the goal, and one guy crashed in the first pass. He have a second pass, some like a second penalty, and he
But they
hit the
always have
goal.
but they
No,
always have the opportunity to do two. So you can always you can always do one pass, one routine, be good and happy with it, and then decide to do something harder, for example, to try for more points. So
Well,
the
depending,
opportunity is there for both.
yeah, for sure, but depends how the coaches with the athletes decide how many scores they want to do it. You know,
I agree.
they figure out okay, I know if you have this DD because in the trainings you can figure out you know, at least a minimal. Of course, you have a, you know, a little bit gap between the median score. You know, sometimes you can hit more 210s or less 210s, but the average is the same. If you take a month of the athlete, the training, you know, the line of the training 1 month
Yes.
before, you know how much he can hit in the words. You
Right.
know,
Yes.
if you don't have any injury, he's okay. You can know, you can understand that. So you didn't
You
expect
can
the guy
anticipate
normally.
more or less.
Yeah, you cannot. You not expect if the guy normally in the training do a 69, oh 69, sorry, 59 points. Do you think he can hit 62 points? No,
Yeah.
2 points more. It's not something like that, you know.
Yes.
And
Well, but if you have a lowest DD routine that you know it's safer, that you can finish, and that you can achieve a score for sure, right? You can have that score and then try for something of a highest DD that, you know, we have some athletes that can perform two different routines, one with almost 1.2 points higher difficulty with the same execution, right? So obviously you can get the higher score on the routine with the highest difficulty. Not everyone is like that. That is for sure. Everyone is different.
but
That's what I think the strategy is going to be really good.
one thing also, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I didn't really read in the book, in the code of the points. If I'm not wrong, they cannot repeat the movements the second
They
pass.
can.
They
Ah,
can.
they
They can.
can.
Yes.
Okay,
They can.
okay. So that's more easy because if you cannot, it's really tough to have 20 skills with the
Yes.
high
Right.
difficult. You know, that's gonna see you know, quadrs, different kind of triples. You know, some like
Correct.
So let
Jason.
me
Jason.
You
so
can
let me
even
throw
do two
some.
times the same routine and try to beat the score of the first time,
Right.
for
Exactly.
example.
So let me throw out some arguments here, just for argument's sake. So Rodolfo, coming from someone that competed in the 90s and you had a real compulsory with actual requirements, do you feel like you're gonna miss this beautiful routine where you show the elegance and the height, or you don't care and out with this routine?
No, I think it's the compulsory with the requirements. I think it's good for the age groups to not lose the basic skills, to not lose, you know, the finesse of the technique, you know, the finesse of technique, finesse,
Yep. Yep.
Yes, that's
very
the fine.
good
Yes, the
finesse.
elegance.
So if they take out for the age group, it's a be a mess. But in the words, it's okay, you know, because we can. Okay, it's nice to see, you know, the elegance of the skills, the basics, something like that. But when you talk about 100 athletes, you know, it takes so long, you know, just to increase the difficulty inside the skills is too much time, you know. So I prefer to have two, three options, you know, than one pass mandatory. So that's what I
Good.
think, you know.
And I
That
think
that
I
is
think from it's no, it's a good point, and I think it's necessary that the world age groups keeps it. Otherwise, there won't be any basics unless you're 8 years old, right? Or I guess 9 or 10 years old. But and again, just for argument's sake, you can also say from an audience standpoint, right? Number one, is this more or less boring? You know, are they saying, instead of saying 100 compulsories and 100 optionals and kind of getting them mixed up, they're saying 200 of almost the same routine? And also, is it more difficult for them to understand when one person does two good routines and then the other person falls on their first skill and then does a great routine and beats him by 2/10, and the person that did really well twice, do you think the audience will agree that that's fair? And granted, they'll know the rules, but do you think they'll agree with that?
I think at that moment, the TC or the technical organization of the competition or the words, they need to explain very well for the audience the rules, because if the audience don't understand the rules, they're not interesting. I mean, example, I can give my example. When I went in US, I went to the baseball match. I know you're really fan of baseball. I didn't understand very well the rules, so it's for me it's
He's
really
a
boring.
Yankee.
It's for me it's okay. One guy throw the ball, one guy hit off the basket, and the ball go out, home run, and the guy running, everybody scream, all good so far. But in that moment when I saw the game, I didn't understand it at all the rules, because they have a run, they change, all those things. So if you guys don't, the audience don't understand the rules, they're not interested. It doesn't matter if they have a compulsory or other sequence or two sequence. If they don't understand at all, they want to see the guys flipping the most as possible.
I agree, and I think that's where the person explaining the competition and the board is going to be very important, because I think at this time we move to competition format that is similar to triple jump, high jump, long jump, so where you have, in our case, 2 opportunities for counting the best. They have 3 opportunities to count the best, right? So if we have a presentation on the screen that is similar to what they have, I think people will connect to our sport even faster than what they were used to connect. Now, it will all depend on the presentation, and it will all depend on the announcer, how the announcer explains the competition. And I think FIG has made a really good videos in the past trying to explain our sport. We know we have a complicated sport. We know we do. We know it's not so easy for people to understand how we get to the final score. It really is not. But FIG really has made a big effort in creating some videos, and they're all on YouTube. They're all online that you can search, and you can look at that specific discipline. You can go synchronized trampoline. What is synchronized? How do you achieve that total score? And you watch the video, and if you run that video on the competition screen and people are actually paying attention, I think it's easy. And with this new competition format, becomes even easier. I think you don't have to add anything. You just have 2 tries. The best one, the highest one counts.
Simple. And I think the FIG did one year did a really fantastic job. I can't remember which world championships it was, with the new when they put in the when they, no, I don't think it was 2011. It was another year when they put in the team, the all-around score. And then the year after, they didn't do that. And everything was a little more confusing. But one year they did a fantastic job. And I think it was the next year they kind of took a step back. But I agree. I think if they put in the video or the Jumbotron and they're explaining it, I think it's much better, because even a lot of the athletes and surprisingly coaches don't even understand fully the rules. How about
we still have one year now. We still have one more year. So
what about the argument that it's rewarding people that can go big and crazy but are not consistent?
The question is for me?
For anyone.
For both of us.
Okay.
You can start.
Okay. I think the trampoline is supposed to be a show, to get a more audience, to get a more, because now everything, if you look, is about extreme. You have extreme sports. You have many options for the sports. In many sports, have extreme acrobatics. If and everything need to be, need to increase. Every change, if you figure out it should be positive for the sport. Of course, we need to care about the safeties, because if you just okay, go guys, the people are gonna have too much injuries, too much fails in the competition. That's not good. But if they are smart, they can go that direction and make a really good show for the trampoline. And that's going to have more audience. That's going to have more sponsors. That's good for everybody, And if you stay stuck in the old system, you know, sometimes because the people now, especially the youngers, they want to see too much tricks. If you look in the YouTube, if you look in the internet, you know, the best gymnastics, whatever, Grego, Ho, it just show the trick is everywhere. So the people want to see that. That's the I'm 100% sure. You know, just the old school as in me, I'd like to see, you know, the perfect stuff, the good lines. I love that. But I understand now for the future, you know, the things go for that way, the extreme situation. You know, you can see, you know, the trampolines already change a little bit, change a lot. In my time, you need to use a pant, you know. Now they're allowed to use shorts. When I look this in the first time, say, man, they're gonna struggle the sport. That's lose the line, you know, stuff like that. But you know, after that, I say, well, it's more comfortable, more good for the jumpers. In my gym, I never jump with the pants, you know, trampoline
I don't
pants. You
think
know,
anyone. I don't know if anyone trained in pants
no, the
ever.
Chinese,
Maybe the
Only the
Chinese.
Chinese.
Chinese guys,
Not
and
anymore.
not
Not
anymore.
anymore.
Yeah, not anymore. Yes, you know, and so everything's, you know, we need to look in the positive way. You know, if we start to, okay, maybe the old style is better, and start to not accept the reality of the what happened in the world, you know, you'll be stuck, you know.
So,
And
so I would like to try and shift this conversation a little bit more towards Brazil now, and we're going a little bit on a limit of the time here, and I'm very curious. What do you think about the current situation of Brazil right now
in trampoline,
in trampoline, and also with this pandemic? How do you think this is going to affect the trampoline world and also the country itself?
the situation now is tough for everybody in the world, not just in Brazil. I think the picture is the same in all worlds. You know, the athletes cannot training, the people cannot go out in the normal life. You know, this affecting the overall. It's not just the sports. You know, it's hard to say about the trampoline because what's going to be next? You know, you can come back in the gym in 3 months, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. Because one thing you go to the work, one thing you go to the school, and the other thing you go to the gym. Especially because the trampoline, you know, you need to be close to the athlete. You need to throw the mat. Sometimes you need to catch them the basic trainings, something like that. You know, you need to support them all the time. I think for the youngers it'll be more hard than the seniors guys, you know, because they are more freedom. The coach just need to throw the mat. They don't need to go in the trampoline to help to improve, to help them to improve. That's going to be affect more the basic guys, you know, too much. And I don't know about the clubs. Now, of course, I know they're always close, you know, but we don't know. It's a blind
Well,
situation.
well, are they a lot of the clubs there privately owned or government run? So like, if they're privately run, do you think they'll be able to reopen, or you think there's going to be a lot of athletes that are not able to come back to their gym? What's the situation like that?
Yeah, the situation for the private club is really hard. You know, I spoke with Tatiana yesterday. She has a private club. She has a private club, so it's tough because you know she need to win money to get a money to for the club to be open, the electricity, the water, she need to pay rent of the spot, you know, the employers. So how is it gonna work? So we expect the situation finish soon, and I'm not sure it will be soon, but we expect we need to be a positive always to figure out if the things were running well for everybody in the world, you know. But the thing for me is everybody need to understand to need to be in home and to be healthy, you know, especially for the family, the grandmothers, grandpapas, you know, and that's the situation now. It's a trick question, you know, because nobody knows. That's the thing. Everybody say too much. They speak too much. I watch, you know, CNN. NBC, TV5 in French, Spain. I have a chat with many of the guys around the world, my friends around the world. You know, the situation is the same. You know, it's very, very hard to have a business in the some like gym academies. It's hard, man.
But
It's
I
hard.
would imagine it's tougher than some in other countries. I know, like in France, I know their center is government run, so that they will have assistance from the government. And in the United States, even though we have private clubs, there are loans and grants for the small businesses. And some of the loans are even forgivable. You don't even have to pay them back. They're just giving away, money to some of these small businesses. Is there anything like that in the Brazilian government to resource or to help these small businesses?
They plan, a little bit help inside the banks. It's funny because the government gonna give money for the banks, and the banks can give money for these companies, but they with a low tax. But it's still, some like okay, owe me the money after I pay you. If this it's supposed to be the government pay directly for the the clubs, the business, not to go to the bank and go to the, because the banks all the time are gonna get some extra money for the services. So it's a tricky situation here in Brazil. It's not so like a French. The guy is gonna receive a 75% of the salary. In Canada they receive already 2,000 Canadian dollars. In US the guy is gonna receive $1,200, I think.
Hmm.
And Germany gonna have some like maybe 2,000 euros. You know, it's something like that. They here in Brazil the situation always something like that in Brazil. Doesn't matter who is the president. It doesn't matter. The flag of the government. Always gonna be a mess because it's a cultural here in Brazil. It's sad to say that, but that's really true. You know, since I remember as a person, always we have a problem with the government. Point. Doesn't matter if you have a pandemic or everything is a mess here. For that,
So,
I
so,
travel too much.
so let me ask you a little bit more regarding Brazilian trampoline. How do you see the evolution from your time to now? And I believe Brazil has grown tremendously and has really, really good athletes at the moment. And you might even qualify for the next Olympic Games as well. We don't know, probably hard, but still, how do you feel about this evolution? How it's been a big jump.
Okay. In my time, the trampoline have a much more athletes. After or not in the beginning, but when I was 20, maybe after 94, 96, 90 till 2001, we have a lot of guys because we now make part of the Brazilian Confederation. We have a trampoline confederation. When turn Olympic, we need to also switch to the Gymnastics Brazilian Federation. And that starts to decrease the sport, the amount of the sport, not the quality, the amount of the athletes and the clubs, because the taxes, because many of the shoes, many clubs decided to give up. But in the other way, you know, the level start to grow because the Brazilian Federation start to pay the World Cups. They help to go to low layer, the other tournaments. So that's the point. The Brazil start to increase the level, more. Because if you run more competition, increase your level. That's natural way. That's the thing. In that this generation, and I mean this generation has come start with Pala, Ramirez Pala.
Hmm.
When of course when he is more older, you know, after 2005, I guess, Holland, 2007, something like that, and they start to go more in the World Cups. So as a athlete, I did some like 2 World Cups. As a coach, I did 6. So
That is a
that's the
change.
thing. That's the thing. So and now, of course, we have a good jumpers because uh, especially because some of them decided to go in other countries, to learn, you know, another techniques to increase, to watch, the other jumpers better than them, and that's the way to increase your level. It's not example of a Rosie. I saw the interview of her. So she training with Karen, she training with Matthew, she training with big stars. For her, is more simple, to watch the big guys jump and help to her to increase the level. But imagine if you go to the gym, you are the best. You don't have anyone to go, to follow. So after that, I think the Brazilians start to be better. It's still a little bit unstable, but I think overall, if you take some like 10 competitions, you can see the line. It's still not very very stable. The level. One day, example, the girls, they can hit 100 points, and one competition they fell, or two, depends. You know, but that's change. I think the balance start to change very fast. Now, especially example, Camila, she start to be very stable. Very line she does well. The guy from Belo Horizonte, Ryan, he is good. You know, I think he can be the best of all the time in Brazil. Just depends how he work and how the club gonna support him. He have a very good support in his club, Minas Tennis Club. He give a lot of support for him, and yeah, in a few years, maybe he's in the top. Not maybe not top three, but probably top 10. I I hope. I expect that. When I look at him, you know, he's good. And Camila is already there. She did just hit the goal and that's it. That's the thing. And
So who are
Alice also is good. Also, she
yeah.
stay now in the time. The situation. It's good or fell. Good or fell. That's the in that moment. She's in transition in that moment to
But
stabilize.
they're having a lot of success in synchro though. That they finished fourth at the World Championships twice.
Yeah,
They have gotten some medals from World Cups. So, I think
yeah, for sure, for sure, for sure. Maybe I know that the girls stayed in first place in the ranking, the synchronized world ranking.
yeah. At the World
Yeah, I
Cup
know that.
ranking, they were in
So
first place. I think now
yeah,
they're tied for first place. I think the Japanese tied them. They have the same amount of points now, but they were
okay.
in first, yeah,
So that's a
for a while.
history. That's a history for Brazil now. They made a history, so they can see. We can see the girls increase the level. Especially not the skills because the skills are always is there. It's about the mentality.
Hmm.
Well,
Because
in the past,
before in the
you didn't
past
see many
we
Brazilian athletes doing triples, especially the girls. And now they are.
yes exactly. So the point is before what I think is the
The
people think
mentality.
okay I would like to do two compulsory two whatever 20 skills. That's the goal. But now I think the people start to think about okay I can hit this score. I can do this score. That's the main point. That's the main goal. I want to do 100 points. I want, it's not to be happy to just finish the sequence. No, the goal is do 100 points. Now is qualifying. I need this point. So that's mentality change a little bit in
I
Brazil,
agree.
especially
I agree.
especially for those guys. Ryan
Yeah.
because I spoke a little bit with his coach. You know, the main point is hit the scores, and this score is going to put in that place qualifying you for that competition. Before you just say okay I finished the sequence all good so far, man, doesn't matter if you
So
finish and then
But I think it also goes. I think it also goes a lot with the education from the coaches and definitely the place where the sport is in the country right now. I agree with you. even with me was the same thing. There was a time that just finishing 20 skills was the goal, and then after you get stable and you have those 20, that goal achieved, you go to the next step. Okay, I need this score to be successful where I want to be. So you start chasing that, and that score changes every year. It's different with the changes of rules. Then we adapt, and that score changes. But I think you can only get to that realization whenever you get the education of how to be with that mindset. You have to learn how to get there. I feel I was not like that in the beginning, and now we look at things differently. We know that we need that score if we want to qualify, or close to that score. It's impossible to know the score, but close to that score will put us on what we want, or less than that will never get us there, for example, right? There is all there, but there needs to be an education towards that mindset.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right,
100% agree.
we're almost out of time, but I have two more questions for you, short questions. Number one, who are your current favorite athletes to watch?
Now, yeah, I have a few, but I like Rancharu. He's really good, man. He's a mix of Nikolai Kazak and Moskalenko. You know,
I agree.
just put it.
Yeah.
He's a mix of both. He's really strong and I have a very nice lines. Airlines. He's really good. I saw the last words. If I saw the Ivan, one guy from Belarus also. He's very young, man. 18, I guess. 18, 19 years old. He's coming just boom, something like that. Good
and he
lines
jumps
also.
extremely high. And he jumps
Extremely
high with beautiful lines.
Exactly. So, but for sure now is a more Rancharu for me. Of course, have impressive. Of course, Gaulle, he jumps so high. If you stay close to the trampoline, you're gonna have a problem with the neck because you need to look something like that. It's tough. But Rancharu for me is the best.
And what about for the girls?
Girls. I don't know if she's still competing, but Petrani is good also. The good lines. She's a veteran, but
I think she just had a baby.
Oh yeah,
Zidane or
and
who?
no, but also and I need to mention Rosie. She's the most impressive for me in the last decade because if you look at the statistics, how she play in the high level and how many awards and how many Olympics, how many World Cups, just look at how many belts we have in the competition. If you look at maybe she had some like 85% of success in all competition she made it. Is insane.
Impressive.
Is impressive. For me, she's still in the top of level. Of course, she's not my idol. I love her. As an athlete, she's very good. But the last decade, she for me is the best. For sure.
Awesome. And all right, so I personally know you as very knowledgeable in the sport, but very funny man too. So can you share us a funny story from your career? I'm sure you have thousands of, maybe from like a banquet or
Oh
some trip. You have any funny story that comes to mind?
Man, I have many of histories with Manu Duran. I think many histories with the Portuguese team. Man, I don't know if okay, maybe in 2001. We stay
Rodolfo
with
knows too many secrets.
Yeah, man, that's not good. That's funny one because I went to the banquet in 2001 in Odense, and I went out to extend the party.
The after party.
After party, yes, and went to the bar, but I have a travel some like 6 in the morning to come back to Brazil. It's like 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm so lost in the city again.
Again.
Again, I'm so lost, and the time start to pass really fast. Uh, I asked the police guard in the street, say, okay, please, I'm very, very ready. I need to come back to my hotel. You can help me. And he start to punish me and say, you cannot be in the streets at this time. You're not from the country, blah, 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 blah. In a good way, in a good way. I'm so scared. And we did in the middle of the way, we decided to make a joke, you know, and he put me in the some like
Handcuffs.
handcuff, and I come back and just go to the front of the lobby of the hotel, and then my coach go down, say, man, I'm resting, man. I need your help. And
Oh
he's freak
no.
out. He's completely freak out. He's completely freak out, you know. Oh my God, man, what you gonna do? We don't have a lawyer here, blah blah blah. And the police said, no, it's a joke, you know. So like, take off the stuff, man. Like, he's so pissed. He's so pissed. That's what I can say for you guys, and of course
Yeah.
the internet, because I have a more serious. And if you got, if you also, you know, some of
Yeah, I know.
moments.
We'll leave that one
Especially
for another time.
what can I say in these times? You know, I'm a very opportunity guy. You know, in all these years inside the trampoline, I did a lot of friends. You know, many friends. So if I travel in Europe, I have a spot to stay everywhere. You know, I did a lot of friends, not just Portuguese or French guys, but Spanish, Denmark guys, Germany guys. That's the sport to provide me the best moments of my life. You know, especially now the coaches. You know, the coaches now, all those coaches is from my generation. We still have a contact. You know, that's amazing for our sport. You know, now it starts to grow. It's a very big sport now, but before everybody know each other. Still, everybody know everybody, you know. And we did a lot of friendship inside. We grow together, you know. That's the I think the best thing of the our sport. Not about competition, but know the people, you know.
Yeah.
Know the people, understand the people. So I knew you since you're very young, you know. After we went, you talk better more in the 5G Academy. You was there as athlete, you know. We had a very good moments over there. You have fun. That's more important, not just a sport, but just also to have fun, enjoy the
Yeah.
moment, you know, to stay in the gym, you know.
Hmm.
I'm stay all the time, and you guys know I'm stay all the time in the gym, in the words all the time. Not just because to watch the trainings, to watch, you know, but also to meet the guys, you know, to talk again with the friends, you know, to have a good moment, not just burn your brain with competition, but also you need to enjoy the moment, you know. That's
Yeah.
very special for us, you know, for everybody. And that's a
Absolutely.
aspect. That's a what aspect for the next generations. You know, they have this mentality. Okay, we have the sports, but also we need to have a very friendship with the other countries, to learn languages. In the okay, you come to my house, and I go to your house, and let's go grow up. You know, the friendship around the world. That's the thing.
Well, let's hope that it continues, right?
For sure.
Well, looks like we're out of time, Rodolfo. Thank you so much for taking your time to come talk with us and the internet and the trampoline community. Thank you for all of your years of passionate work in the sport. And we hope that you and your family and your community down in Brazil stay safe through this crazy times right now. And we hope that we see you again in the gym, probably very soon.
I'll be back. I'll be back for sure in the future. So thank
Thank
you
you,
Awesome.
guys.
Rodolfo.
Thank you, you guys, for the opportunity to share a little bit my history, and it's a great pleasure to be with you guys. You know, because we are friends. You know, and yeah, for everybody, be safe, be in house, stay in house, homes, and when you guys want to come to Brazil, just say hello, and you have a fun here. Okay,
All
Thank
right.
you.
bye,
Thank you,
trampoline guys.
Rodolfo.
Thank you,
Bye.
Rodolfo. Bye bye.
Ciao. Valeu,
Tchau,
valeu.
tchau. Valeu, irmão.
That's all we have for today, guys. We hope you enjoyed our conversation with Rodolfo. As always, please send us comments, questions. You can reach us at trampolineinsight@gmail.com. You can also follow us and message us on Twitter at Tramp Insight or on Instagram at Trampoline Insight. Also, you can send us a voice note or question. Follow the link to the voice message on all platforms. A friendly reminder, try to keep it under 90 seconds or less so that we can play it and answer your question. So for now, that's all, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thanks for listening, guys.
See you guys.